video is courtesy the first group. 2 years ago, I visited Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates is a Muslim country, and but yet I was able to visit. It was a personal visit invited by the London Graduate School on an economic summit, and my time there was a wonderful time. I was welcomed by the first group on arrival, and they made my stay quite a memorable one by giving me a tour of Dubai, and that was the first time I had seen such a beautiful city. I've heard so much about Dubai, and I've heard so much about many other cities around the world, but my visit to Dubai really opened my eyes to the extent of civilization the civilization is going, and I loved it. And for me, it opened my eyes to some of the things I've been talking about. I've written quite a few books about human destiny, about issues that involve humanity in general. And for me, this was an example from the Muslim perspective of what they feel their contribution is to humanity. And I believe that many countries should emulate what the government of the UAE is doing. And it's really a model to copy. And today I would love to go into some issues from the Christian perspective, though. It is the Feast of Pentecost, and Pentecost has a lot for us to learn about what God wants for humanity. So sit back and enjoy this video as we discuss. Now, this is part of the seminar that I attended, and here are colleagues and friends from Nigeria, from around the world. We're here seated around tables, and there I am in the cap and the kaftan, right there among my group mates, and we are discussing right there in Dubai. Here I am on a flight from Nigeria to Dubai. It was a wonderful flight. Again, the beauty of air transport. This is a human invention, and it's a wonderful thing. This is the tallest hotel there in Dubai. Yeah, being built by the first group, and here I am at the marina and taking some photographs with Rizwan, who was my guide for the day. And here is part of the marina. My friends again, sights and sounds of this beautiful city called Dubai. One thing I learned from Dubai is that religion is all about civilization. It's about human civilization. Man's response to God's call on what to do. This is the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. Sights and sounds of Dubai. I stayed in this hotel. Here, this is a window of my hotel room. I'm taking a video from my hotel room here. So sit back and listen as I discuss issues around Pentecost, which is the Feast of Harvest. It's the Feast of Harvest.
labor intensive. It takes a lot of time just to plow a little piece of land like this. The other alternative would be to use animals, whether cattle. In this part of the country, cattle can be used. Some people may use horses in other parts of the world. In this modern time, machines are available to plow the land and get uh, cover more space in very little time. And there are modern methods of farming that produce a lot of harvest in a very short time. This will come in very handy in these days where we have to deal with a lot of climate change. Of course, those arguments are there, as to how much agriculture itself affects the land. There are methods that help to preserve the integrity of the land and also preserve natural plant and animal life. But it is very clear that we will need those improved methods to be able to temperate the effects of climate change, drought, and low crop yield, as well as floods, affect the amount of products that we produce, given the large population that we have to feed. And of course, those things on end time come to play. Many people feel in their minds that these are just the signs of the coming end. Droughts are known to happen in areas closer to the desert, but here, where I'm shooting from, in the middle belt of Nigeria, is the Savannah region. It is known to be the food basket of the country. There's a lot of agricultural activity goes on within this area, all the way to the south, even north of the Savannah. And so, if we are experiencing very low rainfall within this time, I mean, many people have questions in their minds: what is going to happen? I am one of those who believes that Christians must continue to develop their thinking when it comes to these issues. And some of that thinking is that we must be able to ask ourselves realistic questions. Questions as to governance, questions as to what our role is. The Bible does not leave us in doubt as to what we can do about these things. The Bible tells us in Isaiah chapter 2 that God will judge among the nations. Of course, we're in a world right now where we need that kind of judgment. And he says that they will beat their swords into plowshares. This is a plowshare. It's a local plowshare that the people here in the north of the country are known for. There will be no need for swords. This will be the popular means of living because people will be more interested in farming the land than going to war. And this is going to be a really important step in bringing prosperity into the world because without peace, there is no prosperity. The arms race, the industrial complex is a key reason why there is no peace in the world. The military industrial complex. There's no peace in the world as we are right now. And it's not just about having guns or weapons of mass destruction, but even money could be a tool of warfare, economic warfare. And these are the things that Christ, God, we expect God to solve through the coming of Christ Jesus. But before then, we are his representatives. And because we are his representatives, what lessons are we learning from the Bible that will help us to be the beacon of light in this generation where the military industrial complex reign. Must we begin to beat our swords to plowshares? Probably. And I tell you the truth, there is more that the book of Isaiah tells us. And Isaiah chapter 11, he says, Christ himself will be the cause of a total transformation. And that transformation will cause the lion and the lamb to work together. And a little child will lead them. A little child will also put his hand in the cobra's nest, and it will not strike you. This is what we expect. And I've said it many times, that science is also a tool to bring these things to come. Uh, a lot of our zoologists are teaching us a lot about that. Domesticating wild animals in order to conserve them. And these are the things that we must continue to applaud instead of to denigrate. Both sides of the aisle, both the conservative and the progressive, have issues to deal with when you talk about these things. I believe that there is much to do, from these simple methods like this to getting farm machinery. Just behind me here, there's a lot of noise coming from the farm, and they have tractors, they have all the machinery, and they're doing their own part. But we must continue to work with the government and to elect leaders into government who not only believe in science just because it fills their pockets, but they believe in science because they see it as a route, as a way to bring democracy to their lives. And this is just what I want to share with you today as I continue farm work. I will be back with you again in a few hours after this. Continuing on the topic, today is the 15th. Of course, this evening is going to begin the Pentecost, the day of Pentecost. Pentecost is all about first fruits. It's all about the harvest. The harvest, according to the God of the Israelites, who led them out of Egypt into the promised land, where they were slaves in Egypt, and they moved into the promised land. And he gave them the promised land, where, of course, we know there's a lot of crisis about today. But in bringing them into their own land, he had to introduce a series of activities in which they could get into the business, as it were, of living. And the business of living is a complex issue if you don't really think about it. Of course, we all want to live simple lives, but one of the things that the Israelites, the current Jews today, teach us is how complex life is. Up to today, they are victims of this complexity. For many reasons, people don't really understand. And one of those reasons is because they have accepted a mission that is not originally their own, a mission from the creator of the universe. And in their feasts, starting from Passover to the days of unleavened bread, right to Pentecost, you see how God introduces them to this responsibility of living, the business of living. In the story given to us in the book of Genesis, you see how the creative process started. And there are little things within the story in the book of Genesis that gets us to really understand what is going on. A group of authors sat down and they wrote an acrostic, and they discovered that names, every name in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, is significant, speaks about something, and tells us about something. In my own personal research, I have come to understand that even the cross was foreseen and forethought before Christ died on it. And there is a theme of responsibility in the cross. In the days of creation, there is a story that is being told. In the name of the woman, Eve, there is a message that is being spoken out or given to us. And in that message, Eve is the fertile one. She is the one that gives birth. And she exemplifies the very position of the earth between Venus and between and Mars in the habitable zone. So God is not ignorant of physics, of chemistry, of all these things. We find it difficult because we find it difficult to relate to these things and still believe that there is God. A God exists. And this is the part of the complexity of living, the business of living. Most of the time when we get money, we prosper, we forget. And we feel that that is all life is about. But life starts from the first of all a thought process, the ability to think through issues and to persevere through hardship. That is how life starts. And the Jews are still teaching us a lesson of this. You might have different views on what who the Jews are. But believe you me, they are teaching us a lesson of what perseverance is all about, what suffering is all about. And even if you feel like you're a victim of the Jews themselves, as you are right now, you are going through your own process of learning and of interaction with God and the business of living. And whatever decision you make will determine who you will be tomorrow. When you die, interact with life after death, you will be able to now live, understand life more fully as you live your life after this life. And this is the most important thing. So everything we experience here on earth is here to teach us something. Is here to give us an experience that will build us to become better people even after we die. So this is just the message of the entire Bible, and this is the message of uh, that we will pick up whatever we are, whether you're born in Muslim or you're born in Hindu or you're born in Buddhist. These are things that you learn, you get perspective into, and I believe that the Bible gives us the best perspective there is. It is a perspective of God's responsibility, it's a perspective of human responsibility. And more we get to understand the great burden that is placed on the shoulders of human beings. Even in the story of Jesus Christ. Most of the times we Christians believe that we can share responsibility and just put it on the shoulder of Jesus Christ. Yes, he has taken a lot of responsibility from us, but we still have a lot of it on our shoulders. And this is the message I want to leave with you today. This as we near the Feast of Pentecost. Thank you very much. Okay. One thing that comes to mind when I'm doing this is the whole idea of work. Work is part of human existence. The historical human beings had to grow into understanding work. First of all, they relied on trees that produced food to eat. They hunted and domesticated animals for food to eat. But it took time for them to understand that I could actually pick a seed, throw it on the ground, and for some reason it will grow. And so they developed farming methods. From there, they kept on improving their understanding of work, improving their understanding of life. They knew that if they wanted to survive, they had to engage things like this. And work continued to get better and better from making tools like this. Imagine, this is an African tool. This is the beginning of engineering. And this has been with our ancestors for years and years. Did we bring that home? With our ancestors for many years, including this. You go to other parts of the world, you find different types. This is also our own indigenous form tool for farming. It is a hoe. And you see all these things. Work continued to improve. Farm needed a hoe. Of course, agriculture, engineering, labor intensive. Yes, you might enjoy yourself. Healthcare, and on and on and on. Their knowledge and understanding continued to improve. And now, things are able to go even to the moon. I see great things there. And one thing that improves my understanding and enlightens me is that at a point, in considering the transformation or the terraforming of a planet like Mars, you cannot without thinking about agriculture. How am I going to plant things over there if human beings are going to go and colonize that place? Some people were even talking about nuking the North Pole and the South Pole of Mars to release the reservoir of water that might be trapped under the soil. And the first thing that came to my mind was Isaiah 2, verse 4. They will beat their swords to plowshares. How, how better can anybody beat his sword to plowshares than to use a weapon to change the topography and the weather in Mars? Of course, that is a bit far-fetched. But going back to the space race, I remember that the first satellite in orbit from the Russians, Sputnik, was also a used weapon. They used a nuclear weapon that was turned into a radio and put into orbit. Prophecy has been fulfilled in this process, and that is the beginning. And I believe I'm one of those that with our cooperation with one another, with our tenacity to look at our past and find out where we are coming from, we will be able to fulfill prophecy. And in fulfilling prophecy, we will bring peace to the earth. There are many Jewish rabbis that believe this, and I believe that they are on the right track. They might not have it all, but I believe that these beginnings, these efforts will kickstart what will bring the coming of Christ closer and closer. So human beings, we have a work to do. We are not animals. We don't just wake up and the next thing is eat. No, we have more to do. We have to think. We have to prepare. We have to be ready to take responsibility for these natural resources that we have. And we have come a long way. This is not the time to throw it all away. This is not the time to just relax and go back to the days of barbarism because of the lack of food and lack of security. One tribe is forced to attack the other and just take what the other people have. This is the time to think and say, yes, we have reached a pinnacle in our progress. What should we do? And the only way to do that is to look back. How did we first stop and progress out of that kind of lifestyle? And when we know that, we will be able to make the right steps. that will take us to the next century. Because we are at a crossroad. We are at a crossroad in the civilization of human beings. And the Bible is so important in helping us to understand what needs to be. So I'll be back to you.